hey, it's okay. I messed up and I'm still here.
Tuning in to the latest episode of Rise, Grind, Repeat. In today's episode, we talked to Clifford Starks. He's a former UFC fighter turned life coach. Talk about how we can take his business digital. Let's hop right in.
Let's get ready to rumble!
There's certain things that you have to do, and you have to do them consistently. Mm-hmm. And when you do them consistently, good things happen. And so for me, one of my skill sets is I just have a real love for people, right? And I love people in a way that I make them believe in themselves again. That's what it really comes down to. Because when an individual can believe in themselves, they'll do the things they need to do to love themselves properly. That's all it is at the end of the day. Like any of this eating right, exercising correctly, taking care of yourselves, taking care of yourself and taking care of others as well. Doing all of those little things that create that so-called know, like, and trust factor. Yeah. Doing all of that stuff. You take care of you, and in turn, you want to take care of others. It's like you become a servant for others, and you're a servant for yourself as well. Yeah. And everybody wins.
So who's the ideal person that you work with? Is it executive, C-suite level person? Is it someone that's working on their side hustle, or like is it just anyone that's looking to?
Honestly, like anyone and everyone. Now, as I'm marketing a little bit more, I am starting to tighten things up a little bit better, and I'm going after entrepreneurs right now, just because my pricing's getting up there. Yeah. So my pricing's really getting up there, and it's like I hired a coach to help me. Nice. To move me in the direction that I need to move into as well. Yeah. And I go, I can't tell a person to do one thing and then I'm not doing it myself.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And so what it comes down to is he's like, you've basically been giving your stuff away for free all this time. And I'm kind of like, I like it. It's so true. Get in business for what you love. That's just how I am about things. So to me, I love doing it so much. Yeah. I love giving back to people, to see their story, to see them grow, to see them become what they need to become. And what I'm really learning is I did take on any and everybody, but that was a good thing for me because the tough clients actually taught me how to learn and grow and improve. And like, if I could figure out how to work with the tough clients, the easy clients are like slam dunks. Like that's easy. Yeah. So I was like, I'd go after clients who didn't want to do the process, who were completely resistant of the process. And if I could find a way to convince them, then I could easily find a way to convince other people.
That's a smart way to go about it because it's like, again, going on the mindset, if they're not even willing to invest in themselves, undoing it or change the process, like, if you can change that person, when someone identifies the value of investing into your services or your skill set, like, it's just gonna be that much easier to work with them and actually achieve their goals. And it's funny, like what you're just saying is a very similar just path that take anyone and everyone and just either free or super cheap. And it's funny because like the free stuff, it's almost like they're the more challenging clients than the people that are paying.
They sometimes are, yes. They just feel like, oh my goodness.
But I mean, to your point, it's great learning opportunity. You identify how to communicate better, how to tighten up your process, how to be more efficient, it's doing it for free gets you the work quicker, which then you go through the learning process quicker. And then it allows you to get to where you can charge what you're actually worth quicker because you know what I mean? You go through it.
You get to see, like, just of you saying, like, I don't call clients cheap, but there's some people who they devalue themselves so much, they won't take the time to even invest in themselves. And I've seen it. And they'll talk about how they're willing to invest in themselves, but they're really not. And so you got to be really honest with people like that. And honesty isn't always fun. Like, I don't always like it. Like, it's the results that honesty gives. You know what I mean? Like, I had one lady, and I did not want to have this conversation with her. I really didn't. She was talking about how her knees were bothering her back was bothering her. And in the pit of my stomach, I could hear, like, you got to tell her because you have the information.
Yeah.
And my brain's like, something bad's going to happen. Don't do it. And I halfway ever listen to my brain anyway, being an ex-fighter, like we just go, we act.
Yeah.
And I told her, I'm like, look, if you got the weight off, it'd be better for your body, it'd be better for your mind, it'd be better for everything. And she actually gave me a hug because she could tell, like, it wasn't uncomfortable. Yeah, it was uncomfortable, but it had to be said. It was one of those, like, I can't not say this now. Yeah. Like, you've basically you've opened it up for conversation. And she gave me a hug, and she was like, you're right. I really need to take this in the next direction. And, I worked with her. She ended up losing over 100 pounds in less than a year.
Isn't it fascinating? What was it like whenever it all started to work? And then you could see, like, is that where your excitement comes from? Whenever it's like you hear all the excuses not to, and then maybe a month in, whatever it is, they start seeing it. And then you can just see just mentally, like,
the shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the coolest part of it is just there's light and there's darkness, right? And either you're in one or you're in the other, because where there's light, there can't be darkness. And so I just want to bring light to people. That's all it comes down to. And if they're in a dark place, when you show them the light, it's a little uncomfortable at first. Their eyes have to adjust at first. But after the adjustment goes on, and they never looked at me and said, Cliff, it's your fault I'm in the light now. You know what I mean? Like, so it's never been a bad thing.
Yeah.
So I just keep doing. And some people just aren't ready. And when they're not ready, I love them anyway. It's just like, all right, you're not ready, and that's fine. I'm going to wish you the best, and you can continue to do what you're doing and get the same results. Like, that's what it really comes down to. If you don't change what you do, nothing in your life is going to change.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets really scary. It's sometimes, even as a coach, it's just getting people to even look at that. Because sometimes people don't want to, it's hard to look at. It's hard to look at your demons. Yeah. That's not fun.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel good.
No. And even then, it's just humans don't like change. And so when you're used to something and all of a sudden there's this new, it changes your entire day, and it's scary. I mean, that's that in and of itself. It's like it amplifies the not being ready and the pushback instead of jumping off. You know what I mean? And so that's tough.
Yes. And I'll tell you, like, so even talking about the non-change, see, this is where it gets interesting, because you always have to find that balance a little bit. And this is not only to the unsuccessful, but to the successful, because I've seen successful people do very dangerous things as well, where they're so used to success, thinking their happiness is somewhere over there. And then there's some people who are happy in the inside, but they have no success in life. And it's finding the balance of having both, being happy within the journey that you're in, but still going in on your journey. Yeah. Because I'm happy, I'm content, but I haven't done anything with my life. And then you'll look back and you'll say to yourself, I haven't done a damn thing with my life. Yeah. I haven't done anything. But then the reverse is also true with the ultra successful. I've done nothing but get. Yeah. I'm successful as ever, but I was never happy. Yeah. So it's like finding those two balances and putting it together and being okay with the journey and the process that you're creating.
I think that everyone should just love that. Like, it's funny because it's like, I mean, I've had this conversation recently with a couple different people, and it's like, it's amazing how it's like during the journey or the process, it's always just like, all right, I just want to get on. I just want to hit the finish line. And then once you're done, it's like, I don't know, whenever you reminisce, it's like, man, I wish I would have enjoyed that more. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's a mental thing. When you're going through it, it seems like a lot, but then it's just like, if you're just, I don't know, take a step back and enjoy the ride. Like yeah.
It's true. Like it's funny because our minds play so many tricks, right? Mm-hmm. You ever injure yourself?
Yeah.
All right. How badly did you injure yourself?
I mean, it felt like a lot at the time, but I can't remember it now. Like, okay. I mean,
you just answered my question. So it's just like, when you get hurt, it feels like forever, especially if it messes with your day-to-day things, right? And we're like, oh, my rib, this is never going to get better, right? And like 5 or 6 weeks, 5 or 6 week time. And all of a sudden, you're feeling better again. And it felt like it was nothing. But that 5 to 6 weeks, you were sitting there aching. It's never going to go. So here's the thing. When you learn to play with your mind, because that's all it is, it's just mind play. When you can figure out like, all right, well, let me go into the future and see myself better. I got to see myself in a better future because there's no point in being in this present moment of pain, feeling through the pain, unless I'm doing something actively through the pain, which is actively healing the pain or thinking this is getting better. But if you're sitting there wallowing in the pain, then the present feels like forever and you don't want to be in that moment. So it comes down to figure out your past, present, and future and use them as power instead of as weaknesses. And that's where people get themselves in trouble.
And how would one go about that? Or how do you go about identifying that?
It takes practice. It takes understanding your mind. It takes understanding your patterns. The sooner a person understands their patterns, the better they can play within the patterns that they are. And so, for instance, let's say you're in public speaking and you get super nervous and you're anxious, knowing that the crowd is going to be watching you. And you're thinking of all the bad things that could happen. Oh, this could happen bad, this could happen bad, this could happen bad. Well, let's start thinking of the good things that can happen. Because 5 weeks, 6 weeks from then, no one's going to remember it unless it was amazing.
Yeah.
They're not going to be sitting at home like, man, that person really sucks.
I
was just like, remember that person from like a month ago? Like they were really bad. And even if they are doing that, their lives aren't that good. So it's like, okay, well, you have people taking up space who don't have good lives themselves.
Yep.
They're going to do that anyway. Even if you have the performance of a lifetime, they would do something like that.
Yep.
So you just go out and you just give your best and you do your best. You give the audience what you can. And then you say, I'm going to do the best in the moment that I'm in. And it might be your first time public speaking, but you say to yourself, I'm excited. This feels good. Yeah. I can't wait to get out there and give them my best and give them my all. And even if you mess up terribly, later on, that's a story for you to tell someone that, hey, it's okay. I messed up and I'm still here.
Yep.
That's what it is. Mind transformation. You do that and it's a wrap. People do powerful things.
Yeah. No, I'm a huge believer. I mean, I grew up playing baseball and like just I equate that to a lot of, just things that happen now in life. I mean, it's just the mentality side of things is so strong. Whether I'm a huge believer in like what you're saying, just tricking your mind, whether it be good, bad. I mean, you can do it. Like, it's just a matter of really believing in it. How big of an impact do you think sports have had on your, I know you mentioned you fought.
Oh God.
Did you actually did you fight in the UFC?
Yeah, I fought in the UFC.
Nice.
I fought in Bellator. Yeah, I fought in the big organizations. And I'll tell you, sports have an unbelievable large impact because you're basically putting yourself in you're putting yourself in painful situations and you're putting yourself in major adversity. Yeah. And so when you can put yourself in adverse situations, that's where your most growth happens. That's the funny thing. People just don't like putting themselves there. Yeah. It's not the funnest place to do. So in sports, you're forced to do it. And then sports will weed out the weak. Like, it's gonna happen. It's just like, wow, this isn't for me. Wow, this is too hard. Wow, I'm done doing this. Mm-hmm. This is not fun anymore. Because if everything we did was fun, then everyone would be great at everything. Yeah. So I go, find your purpose. Find your why, right? Find your purpose and your why. And I agree with that. I think that's absolutely important. But when you are in pain, there are times where you just can't see your why. And you just have to do it anyway. Yeah. Like, you have to build the habits to do it anyway. There's times when you're swinging at the bat and you just don't want to be there. When you're conditioning and you just don't want to be there. And so we're going to be like, hey, it's okay, Dustin. Remember this? And you just don't care. Yeah. You're pissed. Yeah. But then it's the habits that you do. What are you going to do? How are you going to act? How are you going to respond? I'm going to do this well. I'm going to do this at 100% because this is all I know. and this is all I got right now. I can't think about anything. I just have to do. I just have to act. And that's it.
Yeah. No, I love it. Just the 100% right now. Like, as long as you leave it all on the table, you can leave. I mean, most of the time you're either going to win or lose. I mean, it's going to be both. Like, you're going to go through both, but it's how you learn. But at the end of the day, it's like, as long as you gave it your all, that's all that matters. And like, people can see that. And even if you did mess up, people are going to admire that. But the key to all of it is like you said, even in 20 minutes, you're going to forget what that felt like. Like, you're not going to remember the actual feelings. You're going to be like, I remember feeling uncomfortable, but inside you're not going to remember the pressure, the anxiety and all that. And it's just like going through it once, you pushed yourself. Now you just push your limits a little bit more for the next time, and all of a sudden it's a little bit less and less. But to your point, it's just throw yourself through those situations. It's like you're gonna not want to jump, but
just like any muscle, it's just like any muscle. Your willpower is a muscle. Your confidence is a muscle. The way you talk to yourself is a muscle. The way you conduct yourself is a muscle. The people you hang around is another. Like that's right there. It's just like if you hang around the wrong people, you will do the wrong things. Maybe not even right away, but you're going to do the wrong things. Why are you hanging around those people? Why are you hanging around people who are telling you to do bad things, who are telling you to be less of yourself, who are telling you can't do things? Hang around people who will give you what you need, who will inspire you. And even when you do get around those people who are telling you, because you're going to get around them. The light shines brightest in the darkness, but the light has to have the opportunity to get its light from time to time too. The light has to get its boundaries about and get its water, its light, its energy, its everything, and get around it from the source. And the source is yourself, and the source is also the people you hang around. That's what it comes down to. You do all of those things, they'll lift you up. But if you're around people who are constantly battering you and beating you down and making you almost believe that you're lesser than, then you're going to start acting lesser than.
No, I agree 100%. It's funny you bring that up because, I mean, just having this conversation not too long ago with my brother-in-law, and like he just moved down here, and it's just amazing. We were just talking about decision-making and all that, and it's just like, look at the difference in environments and all that between friends and whatever it may be, but it is amazing that who you surround yourself with really impacts your decision-making, and not even just the decision-making, but here's the situation, how you go about it, how you approach it, and how it impacts you, whether you go in excited or defeated or whatever it may be. That really impacts how you go into situations, which each over the course of time that could really impact. I mean, your overall life. I mean, it's I'm huge on that, and that's why it's like, I don't know, we've recently had a couple podcasts around just networking and event marketing, and that's why I'm so big on it, and that's eventually what we want to create here, and what we're kind of doing is like, I really think that if we create a space where just people like what we're doing now, just like-minded people, it's like ideas get tossed around and together everyone rises up together, and it's I think there's so much power in that.
A rising tide brings in all ships. Yeah, that's what it comes down to, is putting a place where you're of service, right? So people have to be of service, not only for themselves but for others, and constantly doing that. And I think where people get in trouble is they kind of do look for hand-me-outs instead of taking like, all right, this is like, sometimes people expect the world to be fair, and it's not fair. You know, I mean, if it was fair, you say, if that's like a lion not eating you because you're a vegetarian, just be like, oh, all right, well, since you only eat meat or you only eat vegetables, I won't eat you. But that's not the way that it goes, and that's okay. But it's to understand the reality, right, and understand your reality, and understand how to work within the framework of your reality. That's all it is. It's just like, even when I coach people, some people are stronger in different areas. They just are. Just as some people are weaker in different areas. And it's saying, all right, here are your patterns. Now let's create a strategy around the patterns that you are. And when you create a strategy around those patterns, that's when you get to see people rise up and do the things that they need to do. And I go, even as a coach, the first thing that starts is, it does start with unconditional love. That's a powerful thing. That's more powerful than people realize sometimes. It's just like, they need to know that they're loved, because when they know that they're loved, they're going to try. And even there's nothing scary about the fail anymore. You can fail because you're still loved anyway. That's it. But you go back to the drawing board, and then you figure out how to do a little bit better. And you go back to the drawing board and just figure out how to do a little bit better. And you keep going and going and going, and eventually you're a master at it. And everyone's looking at that person like, well, they did it, but
they had it easy. They had it easy.
Like, no, that's why I'm actually really happy with the social media world, because now you get to see everybody in it.
Yep.
You know, in the moment of it. So people even look at me, and I was a fat kid. They don't see that though. And so they go, well, I don't know, and you got this. And I'm like, no, I wasn't always this way. I didn't come out of the womb like this. Like I was big, strong, black, athletic guy who can think. You know, it's just like, it took, you know what I mean? And that's what they do. It's just like, no, but you were all like, no, you have to tailor and work.
Yep, they don't see the blood, sweat, and tears.
You got to read. If you want to get smarter, read more books. And then on top of it, apply it. Yeah. Because you don't get smarter from just reading either. You know, you learn how to ride a bike from riding the bike. Yeah. Watching other people ride bikes, try to figure out how to ride the bike, fall off the bike, get on the bike again. Yeah. And then you just keep doing that. And as an athlete, you have to learn and tailor your craft, and it really comes down to the inches. Yep. Comes down the inches. Each pull gets a little bit bigger. Like, how long did you play baseball for?
I played through college.
Through college. Okay, This is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, how early did you start?
Young, T-ball. I mean, yeah.
Okay, this is even better. So going from T-ball to college, it's really all in the inches. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, so the details get finite and tighter and tighter and tighter. Because when I started early in high school. I didn't even start in elementary or middle school for wrestling. So I technically started wrestling late. Wow. And I was already good. Like I just had I don't think it was natural talents. I think from all the working out and the training that I did before then, it helped me for wrestling. Yeah. And when I started wrestling, I was pretty good, right? And I got all the way out. I went to ASU, and it was different. I was really bad. Like I'm like, wait a minute, I was a state champion to now I suck, right? So I re-sucked again. Like I re-sucked. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, I thought I was tough shit. Mm-hmm. And then I realized, I'm not shit. And you're just like, well, looks like I go become tough shit again by doing the same thing that I did before. Like, and that's all you do. Yeah. And then went from wrestling to fighting, right? Getting punched in the face is quite different than when you're not getting punched in the face. So I'm like, I sucked in that too, right? And I'm like, well, looks like I got to do this again. Like all it is, like all success is it is patterns too. It is patterns. Yeah. It's just like, it's little patterns of, well, I agree with you because we will mesh with that. Just do. Yeah. But some people don't. Like some people don't know how to do that. Yeah. So we know just do because we've been there. Yeah. But then I've coached people who don't know what just do is because they never felt what just do is. So they just have to just think. Yeah. They just have to think. They haven't even been in a parameter to even think big. That's scary to them.
You only know what you know.
Yeah. Like so that's scary to them. Yeah. So I just got to think. Okay. So this is what I do. I just get them to think a little bit small. Just enough. Just give them enough. Like you can even say something simple. 26 letters in the alphabet. But how powerful is that really? Entire libraries are filled with just 26 letters. 26 letters
just blew my mind.
Yeah, that's it. That's just being combined in different areas.
26 letters.
26 letters. It's 26 letters. So how special are you now? And that's when you start seeing like a fire comes out. Yeah. And then they start saying like, well, I do know. Perspective. Okay, I do know. Well, now I can't. Well, I am a badass. That's what it is. Yeah, you are. Yeah. That's all it is. That's all light is it's reminding people of how badass they are. And the best part is no one can take it from you. Like my perspective will always be mine. No one can take that shit from me. Just as your perspective will always be yours. Yep. No one can take it from you. And that's why you live it and make it as big as you can. Because you don't know when your last day is going to be. Yeah. So you might as well make it as big as you can and go all in. Yep. That's what it's about.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I love everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
You mentioned you're taking this online. Uh-huh. So what part of this are you taking online? So I can hear the passion. I love what you're saying. The coaching, everything like that. You're a natural at. So I guess what are your thoughts, plans on?
So my biggest thing is the guy that I'm working with, I'm going to create a program. And it's either going to be 2 months or less than 2 months. And what it tailors on is the habits, just creating the habits. That's all it starts with. And not only that, creating the habits, but being around the right people who are going to help you implement those habits too. But it doesn't take a big, long time for people to make amazing changes though. Like when you can get the habits right quickly, it's actually the sooner you do it, the better off you are. And what people look at it and they go, well, this is going to take time. This is going to take energy. This is going to take, and I go, no, when you get the mindset right, it takes a moment.
Yeah.
Like that's all it is. It's just a moment. And that's where the just do becomes. And so it's tailoring the mind, body, and spirit and putting it together and putting it in alignment and just going with it and letting it right out. And knowing that if you do need a refresher, because sometimes people need refreshers, that would be available for a refresher. But all in all, if you have the steps and the strategy, and then you have the mindset laid, so the mindset's the foundation, and then you create the strategy on top of that foundation, then nothing can stop you.
Yeah.
I do things like something as simple as the plan, right? People think they have their plan down, right? And then you ask them, where you go, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about getting to where you're looking to get?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm at a 10. And I go, okay, what books have you read on the subject?
How are you going to get there?
Yeah. I haven't read any. Okay. So what have you done on the subject? Well, I've tried. What have you tried? All right. I'll give a perfect example. Let's say trying to lose weight, because I get this a lot. Well, I'm eating right. Whose strategy did you follow on eating right? Well, I looked online, and so you're not even going to a professional for that. You're just going to look online and take a guess at your own fitness, but you're at a 10. And how many people have you worked with? Well, I haven't worked it with anyone. How long have you been doing it for? Well, I've been doing it for about 4 months. You've been doing it for 4 months. You haven't worked with anyone. You read something online, and you're at a 10. And it's just like, well, if you say it that, that's what it, and it's not a bad thing. Like, if you're at a 5, just tell me you're at a 5. It's not a big deal. Like, all right, I'm at a 5. But don't lie to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where people get in trouble. It's just like they lie to themselves so much that they think that's where the frustration comes. They think they're putting in 10 work, but they're not. They're putting in 5 work, and they're getting like 3 and 2 results, thinking they should get 10 results because they think they're working at a 10.
It just goes back into perspective. You're an outside perspective coming in and going, you're either working more than you think or working not as hard as you really think. That's where, they only know as much as they know, and to them, their boundary is that, and that's a lot. But you just come in, and you're just kind of like the Matrix. You come in and show them the Matrix.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's just like when they see it, that's when things start transforming. And it's scary sometimes.
How long does that typically take?
Not long. I had one client who, she was really struggling with some personal things. And I trained with her for about 3 months. Right, and she was just like, she's like, I'm good. I'm in a good place. She was at a 4 when she first came to me, so she even knew what her pain was. She knew directly what her pain was, and now she's at a 10.
Nice.
And it just comes down to understanding it, learning from it, and then finding power from the situation instead of weakness from the situation. Again, it is perspective. And when you can get the perspective right, big things happen. But people got to realize, like, it doesn't take that long to change your life. It really doesn't.
No, in the grand scheme of things, I mean,
it's just like
months, within a couple months. And that is like that's a very small percentage of the average lifespan of a human being like that.
Well, if you took a woman, it takes 9 to 10 months to have a baby, 9 to 10 months to create a life, right? Think about how much energy is going into that. Right, a life is literally being created
in 9 months. Yeah.
So think of what you can do in 9 months. Right. If you actually see, our bodies are amazing. Our bodies are actually so amazing. We don't give it enough credit. Right. Yeah. So we don't even look at the subconscious. Most of the things that happen are happening in the subconscious level. And when you can get the subconscious on your side, then you become unstoppable. But it's about getting it on your side first. And so a lot of people's subconscious are beating them up, breaking them down. They have certain patterns. And you look at something as simple as if you cut yourself, right, or accidentally got cut, it's not, well, time heals all wounds. It's your body actually going through a process that is healing the wound. So your body is going through an entire process. It's taking platelets to that area. You know, the white blood cells are cleaning the infected area. There's all sorts of things going. Your blood is congealing, right? So all of this stuff is going on for the healing process to occur. We just don't have to think about it because the body is just doing it by nature. So imagine if you could take your mind and get it to do that for you in the conscious level and move yourself in a level where you're just like, you become this unstoppable thing where nothing can stop me. Nothing can stop me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you just help them. Like at first, it is a task to think that way. It is different, and then once it just becomes the first time you run a mile, it's hard. The second time, it's a little easier, and then after the 20th time, it's like that. It sounds like that's what you're helping them with, and is that what you're basically doing? Is outlining this all in a digital version? Are you doing it through if I were to buy it right now, like how would it be presented? Is it through video?
It's going to be through video. It's going to be through a mastermind course too. Okay. Right? So it's going to be a mastermind course. It's going to be a 6-week course. And I'm going to go through each step of what a person's supposed to do to get through their process. And then there's going to be actionable steps because, again, it doesn't happen if you don't take action. So there's going to be homework assignments, and then there's going to be accountability partners as well. So you make sure to keep them on track for what they need to do. But, yeah, it's a 6-week course of outlining and really just doing basically a brain cleaning and getting you to move in the direction that you need to move into.
That's awesome. And then, from that, are you going to offer one-on-one service then as well?
I do one-on-one. I'm trying to keep it a little bit limited. So it depends on, one, not only are they hiring me, I'm hiring them too. Like
did you learn that through a couple months of,
I'm in a position of where, I love people, I'm always going to love people, but there's also a time of saying, like, if you're not ready for the program, then you're not ready for the program. And that's okay. I'm going to love you anyway.
It's a partnership.
Yeah.
Both people need to be invested. Like you, as positive and everything as you can be, you're not going to move them if they're like, you know what I mean? And it needs to be a mutually, both people need to see the benefit of what each other are doing.
Absolutely. And I've gone where the cool thing about people is people will step when you step, right? So if you give 100%, but it's how much are they going to step? So you can give 100%, some people might give 100 back. That's the perfect relationship to me.
Yeah.
But if you give 100%, someone might only give 25% back, and you're like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And you got to find a way, like, all right, how do I get them to give me more than 25? And then they'll go to like 33. Yeah. And then eventually they get to 40, and then you're half worn out because you're giving 100 every time. It's just like, no more. I'm done. It's just like, that's when people tap out in relationships even. It's just like, wait a minute, I'm giving this person everything I can. I'm giving them my soul. And they're just kind of like, oh, yeah, you're kind of cool. It's just like, okay, I'm done. And so that's where I'm kind of at in my life. Like, I'm going to give you 100%. I just need you to give me, even if you start at 80, that's fine. We can start at 80 because you wouldn't be where you were if you didn't have kind of an idea. Yeah. But after the 80, we got to go 80, 90, 100. Yeah. I'm like, I'll give you 2 weeks. Yeah, I'll give you 2 weeks. But until then you better go 100.
So have you been trying to set better expectations on that rather than just like, hey, we're going to work together? Now it's more like, hey, like now that you've been seeing timelines and all that, here's kind of like basically setting expectations. And has that helped?
I'm not going to lie. So I say we all have our challenges, right? Yeah. My challenge, I have loved people from the beginning. I will love people to the end. I just love people. I do. I love the soul. I go, the biggest thing is I always look at the best version of that person. You know what I mean? I'm always looking at their best version. But at the same time, I have to have a little bit of realism in it. Like, it's just like, there's a reason I'm a keynote speaker. You know, like I just go like, oh, anything can happen, anything's possible. Like, it's just like, it's in my passion. But at the same time, it is up to them too. And I go, Cliff, you take responsibility for your life, but it's not to say you can take responsibility of someone else's life. I can teach them how to take responsibility for their life, but they ultimately get the choice of if they're going to take responsibility or not. And so that's something I'm going through the process myself. This is not an easy process to do because I drive my wife crazy sometimes because I would help as whoever I could, when I could, because I love doing it. That's what I love to do. Yeah. But there's been people who have taken my service and they slap on it. Mm-hmm. And it's nothing personal towards me even. It's their own personal vendetta in themselves. They don't believe in themselves enough. Yeah. Or I haven't given them enough adversity. Because sometimes money is a form of adversity. Yeah. And money makes you think like, gosh, I need to take this serious now. But But if you give something away for free, they don't take any like, oh, okay, well, I might do it, I might not do it, and I'm like,
if it's convenient.
I'm like, all right, Cliff, you love your passion, but understand, you know the psychology of people. And knowing the psychology of people, it is up to me to take responsibility of that as well. And not just openly I'm just going to give it to you. But again, I like getting creative because I always say there's always a way. So if a person didn't happen to have money, what do I do? What pain do I put them in to make them realize that they have to take this seriously? Yeah. And that's where I'm kind of financially, I'm working on just financially coming. But eventually, when I'm financially set, what else do I need other than to help people? Yeah. So I want people to get into their greatness, but they have to have some adversity in their life. Yeah. People sometimes don't realize that. And they think like, no, I want things to be easy. And like, there's no such thing. It will not happen. Yeah. People do not grow without a little bit of adversity. It just cannot happen. It just cannot happen. Like, it's just like, that's like have you ever watched a movie where nothing bad ever happens to the person? Why do you think we get down, up, and then we feel so good when they make it through? Yeah. Because we're kind of living through them a little bit. It's just like, wow, and they made it. Yep. And I'm like, well, that's where the growth happens. We all know that. And so we have to remember that when we're going through it, when our ribs are hurting for 6 weeks, and it's just like, wow, this is going to take for him. Like, it's just part of the process. Yeah. Like, it's just part of your process. And understanding that will empower you to move through. Yeah.
It's funny because it's like anytime you deal with that, it's all about how you learn and build upon that. Now it's like, I mean, it's almost to the point where, I mean, I don't look for it, but I kind of do look forward to it because it's like, all right, well, now I got to stay on my feet. I got to think. And I know that, I mean, I heard it from him. At the end of the day, no one died. The world is still turning. Like, everything is good. Is like, you know what I mean? Learn from it. And so it's like, I always know that my ribs are going to be hurting for a little bit, but I know that I'm going to be that much stronger and prevent it moving forward. And if I just keep doing that day in, day out over the course of 5, 10, 15 years, good things will happen. Yeah. And
we love it. You ever watch the Rocky movies?
Yeah.
Aren't those awesome?
Yeah.
Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's getting his ass beat. Yeah. Right? He just getting it beat to a pulp. And he finds a way to get back up. Mm-hmm. He finds a way to get back up. And he always made it such a tough, grueling fight and found a way to win. He didn't win them all, but he did get back up and he did get his revenge. You know what I mean? And that's just like, and it feels so good because that's what it's about. Like, that's the fun of it, if you allow it to be. And just, that's part of your life. That's your individual, like, everybody's in a fight somewhere. And then it's, well, what are you going to do in your fight? What are you going to do? So much so that when I was fighting, if I didn't run, if I didn't train, if I didn't eat right, if I didn't take care of myself, if I didn't lift the weights that I needed to lift, if I didn't go to bed when I needed to go to bed, if I would have just said, just gonna will myself to do it. Will myself.
Show up,
yeah, I'm gonna show up, and everything's gonna be good. It's probably not gonna be the best night for me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
yeah.
It's probably not looking good. I might get lucky and get like a Hail Mary punch.
Yeah.
But odds are it's probably gonna be pretty ugly. And so realizing that, like, that's what we do with our spirit. So instead of doing all of the training for our spirit, when it's important to do it. See, this is what gets me fired up with people sometimes, is they will destroy their bodies, destroy them, eating crappy food, doing all of those things. And it's not to say not to be human and have a piece of pie or pizza from time to time, because I do that as well. You know, like, I do that too. But it is to say, why wait till the end? Why wait until, like, sir, you're gonna have a heart attack in less than a month if you don't change things? I'm like, well, maybe I should change things. Like, it's just like, you could have done that way ahead of time. Way ahead of time. So take care of your stuff, your pains, early. So you don't have to get to the end and be like,
regret.
I hope I can Hail Mary myself out of this one, because that's all you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's what people sometimes do. It's just like, man, I really hope I can Hail Mary myself. I'm like, you might, but it's not looking good. It's just like, it's not looking good. Damn, I didn't get my 7.
That's great. So what do you do? Like, how soon until this is all launched, or is it out there, or?
So I'm in the process of, it's probably going to be late May or early June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up, and I'm excited for the first one. You know, like I said, I've been coaching people for a really long time, and the process is just going to be a blast, taking people to their mind shift change and put them in the position that they need to be in to really win in their life and in everything else.
That's awesome. Yeah. What are you doing to get it out there? Are you doing anything like beforehand to build it up, or? Yeah,
that's the funny thing. I'm in the process of creating a case study, right? And the coach that I'm working with, I don't know crap about this stuff. Like, you know how you can be strong in one area and not so much in another? So I'm learning about sales funnels and all of this, and I'm just like, I don't know anything about any of this stuff. And I actually made a video, right, about how I was nervous going through the process.
Love it.
I think
Document
it's important.
Yeah,
I think it's important for people to realize, like, look, you're not always going to be like, Superman is Superman because of the things that he does, not because of the feelings that he has. Yeah. You're gonna have different feelings. And it was funny because we live in an over positive society right now. Like, everything's positive. Like, oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just like, don't be nervous. Like, no, you're gonna be nervous. It's something different. I didn't say I wasn't gonna do it. Yeah. I'm doing it. I'm just letting you know I get nervous too. Yeah. I'm human. And that's okay. Like, that's what it is. It's not, no, you're good. You're like, no, nervous is a great thing.
It's great.
Yeah. They're turning nervousness into this bad thing. Yeah. And nervousness is not a bad thing. It's only bad if you allow it to be bad. I'm freaking out. Like, I'm nervous. There's something new. It's something different. Here we go. Yeah. And you're like, and then your mind, like, so this is what's so important with athletics too. Because sometimes your mind wants to procrastinate, like, no tomorrow, right? It's just like, all right, what can we give this person? Yeah. So that he can't do the thing that's going to cause some pain. And they're like, all right, well, the dishes need to be done. I'm like, you know, the rug needs to be vacuumed and your bed needs to be vacuumed. And you're going through the process of, damn, you know, I would have done it, but I just didn't have time. It's just like, but as an athlete, like, you don't get that option.
Yeah.
You don't get that option. Like, when you're getting ready to fight someone, you're like,
Oh, hey.
yeah. You're like,
I'm not ready for that.
yeah, he's going to punch you in the face on this date. Like, this is the date they're going to punch you in the face. So get ready for that date. Like, you should be like, okay, well, the date's there, so I better start working for what I need to do. And that's the beauty of being an athlete. Like, it forces you to create a plan.
Yeah.
Because there is a timeline. Like, I love how I go, so when do you want to be a millionaire? As ever long as it takes. Like, what if you're not a millionaire until you're like 90 years old? Then what do you do? I made it. Like, and that's so important. So that's what athletics has given me. It's like, all right, you give yourself a date, you give yourself a plan, and then you act on the date and the plan.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have a video guy. Are you doing anything to I mean, you mentioned YouTube. Are you doing anything like this? Are you doing clips to push out there to get people?
So I do little clips here and there. I'm trying to get in as many podcasts as I can.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because
Why not start your own?
Yeah, you know, I actually was debating on doing something like that, but I'm in the portion of putting other people's podcasts on my YouTube channel and also doing like little clips with mindset. Right, so it's just mindset and transformational training type growth hacking. Mm-hmm. But I may do that eventually. Yeah, I may do that.
Are you still speaking?
Yes.
You should just get a little lapel and literally record that, and that could be your podcast. I mean, if you're already going to be doing it, then it's So then you don't take time out of your day. I mean, if you're launching this and you're doing a bunch of other things, you can just if you're out doing it, just document it.
Even with what Gary Vaynerchuk was saying is just repackaging certain
exactly.
things.
I mean, that's
yeah. And so I'm doing little things. I'd like to talk to you more about the podcast and how you get people on your podcast. Like, I think it's interesting stuff, and I love having conversations with people. But the biggest thing I'm trying to do right now is just talk to as many people on podcasts as possible and just get that on my channel. And I'm actually going back and forth. So I do like a podcast episode, and then I'll do a tip, and then I'll do a podcast episode, and then a story of my day, and then a podcast episode. So I've done like 6 podcasts right now.
Nice.
Which is, it's really, really cool. Yeah, just meeting new, interesting people. And it's really, like I said, they have their own perspective in life, and they have what works for them and what has worked for other people that they've worked with too.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're trying to get out of the one-on-one stuff, but I mean, even there, like if you have a client that'd be open to it, I mean, just ask if you can record the conversation. And like, I mean, it could be a quote, like a podcast is basically just an audio, like anything audio, like if anything, it could help build what you're trying to sell, because when people hear, I mean, it's all when someone can hear how someone else's mind has been changed based off of executing on your practices. I mean, that's where that person, it's like, I mean, I don't know if you're gonna be running Facebook ads or ads at all to try and reach people, but I mean, whenever people are going by and are interested, hearing someone else's perspective of what the process is like going, doing this with you, I think that would be huge. And even then it's like what you're doing. I mean, like we said, it's changing someone's life really for the most part. And that's a big hurdle. That's a big, like, people are scared of that. And so hearing someone else say how much it's benefited them, I think would be super powerful, a lot more powerful than you coming on and just saying, hey, I can help you. You know what I mean? Like,
true. That's very
you know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
well, I even with the stories that I do have, and I don't put any pressure on my client. Well, I do put pressure on my clients, actually. I'm not going to lie. I put pressure on my clients, but it comes down to when they're ready to take that pressure. And I say, your story is a success story for someone else who might be feeling that they don't have the success. They don't have the ability to do the thing that you have done. And you doing it shows them that, it can be done.
Yeah,
it's doable.
like that. They're just, from their perspective, their point of view, I mean, literally, like you just said, that could be the thing that changes someone to go from maybe to a yes. And then like they could be impacting so many lives by doing it outside of just helping you grow. I mean, their testimonial, they're just showing what you can do can help shed light and get someone to hop over that fence, do it. And I mean, you might help someone get out of, I mean, whatever problems they're going through, whether, I mean, I can only imagine all the different issues that, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I've come up a couple few, and the cool thing is, so out of every person that I've coached, no one's been worried about any of the coaching that I've done, except there was one case that I had, and some of my friends were like, "Are you sure you want to take this case on?" Right? And this is what makes this case so funny, because I'm like, hell yeah, I want to take this case out, right? So he was dealing with meth addiction.
Gotcha.
And they're like, that is the strongest drug on the planet. Mm-hmm. And I started doing my research. I'm like, crap, that's a really strong drug. So, but I took him on, and we actually made a video, right? And it was really his idea. Like, I kind of were like, do you want to make a video about it? Like, yeah. So we made a video, and he's been clean for a little over 4 months now.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's doing good. And he did have a slip up. You know, he slipped up once. And I told him, like, that's kind of part of the process. Yeah. And I remember one of my friends said, like, well, what if he slips up? What if he messes up? I go, well, then he messes up. Yeah. But why not try? Like, why not at least just try? He asked me, so what do I say? You know, and that's where I get in trouble with, off of what we're talking about, like, well, which clients are you going to take on? Yeah. Like, any client. Just like, because it makes me a better coach, right? It makes me better at what I do. It helps me tailor my craft. But the cool thing with his process is he's come so far so quickly. Cool. Like, he's come so far so quickly. And I told him, like, your story could help someone else, because everyone's afraid of this one. Everyone's afraid of this drug. They're just like, they're like, don't, Yep. And I'm like, you can give people hope. That's what it comes down to. And again, what if he uses? Well, I'm going to love him anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's kind of the answer you got. It's just like, you just love a person through whatever process they need to go through, and you help them through the process if you can help them. And if you can't, you try and find another solution for him somewhere else. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, and it's not what happens if he slips up. The question should be, how are we going to handle it? Yeah. You know what I mean? How are we going to learn from it? Yes. That's the question that should be asked. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I mean, as we kind of wrap it up, would love to, I mean, ideally, what are some of the problems, issues, I mean, that you can help out with? I know you mentioned addiction, weight loss. I mean, I know you mentioned anyone and everyone, but what are some of the so as people can listen, they might hear it and say, oh, someone, you know what I mean? This is a way to kind of.
Yeah. So people who think it takes luck, it doesn't take luck to be successful, whether it be in your relationships, whether it be financial, whether it be in your business, and whether it just be in your life. It doesn't come down to luck. The other thing, it doesn't come down to just personal development either. Like, watching a ton of personal development tapes, it's just not enough. It won't get you anywhere. It's the steps that you have to implement, and it's the action that you have to take. Having the mindset is great, but you don't get the mindset without doing though too. Like, that's the only way you're going to develop that mindset. They ask, how do you get confident in something? Well, you have to do it enough times to get confident in it. Now, you can be confident in your mind, but here's what's really cool is, the more you win in life, the more confident you start becoming. Mm-hmm. And so that's not to say you won't have, see, failure is a funny word, because it's not, failure just means you fell down. Mm-hmm. It's not, you don't fail until you quit. Yep. That's when you fell. Yep. Yeah, that's when you fell. But having bumps in the road, which is going to happen, those bumps become easier, especially when you know there's supposed to be bumps in the road. Yep. It's a lot easier when you know they're supposed to be there. And so sitting there reading every personal development book on the planet won't get you where you need to go. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. It's the steps that you have to take and implement, and the mindset that you have to create. And when you put that together, that's when big things start happening. So for anyone who is not where they want to be, or people who are looking to honestly take their life to the next level. Because I've dealt with high performers too. I've dealt with some of the highest performers there were. And even they need to sharpen their axe from time to time. It's all about sharpening the axe. So whoever wants to sharpen their axe, come see me.
Anyone just looking to get to the next level. It doesn't need to be negative. It could be expanding on positive as well. It's just anyone looking to get to the next level.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice. Awesome. Well, let everyone know where they can find you. And
check me out on my website, cliffordstarks.com. You can also email me at info@cliffordstarks.com. And yeah, that's
what's the name of the platform that you're coming out with, or the mastermind class?
It's going to be called the 5 Steps. It's going to be sexier than this, but it's something around the 5 steps to success and happiness.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you.